And breed. And fucking breed. My God. They don't make it easy, do they, Manchester United? They never, ever make it fucking easy. But we get the win, lads. A massive, massive fucking win against Brentford tonight in the Premier League, which puts us 3 points off Champions League football next season. That is absolutely huge. But my God, was that a tough second half. That was a tough second half to watch because Michael Carrick decided to make a tactical substitution at halftime to put Mazwari on and play 3 at the back. We went back to the Ruben Amrin days. Oh my God. But you know what? We had to do it. Let's be real. Because if you actually watch that first half performance, lads, make sure to go and like and subscribe to the channel, by the way. This is your boy Thumbaldinho. And this is my reaction to the massive win against Brentford that took place there just now. But if you look at that first half performance, I'll be real. The first 10-15 minutes of that game, we were really good. We were really, really good. We were threatening Brentford on the counter-attack. We were winning tackles and, transitioning to counter-attacks, winning the ball high up the pitch. And Casemiro opening the scoring. And what I will say about Casemiro, by the way, can you stay? Can you actually stay, please? Because what I will say before I continue, 10 out of 10 performance from Casemiro tonight. He was absolutely unfucking believable from start to finish. Out of possession, the best player on the pitch. Defensively, his tackles were immaculate. Winning the ball back, so fucking good. Yeah, opening the scoring with a good header, as always. And a good assist from Maguire, actually. And another set piece for United. 20 set piece goals scored this season, which is unbelievable, by the way. But then after the goal we scored, we decided, you know what? We're not going to play football anymore. We're just not going to play football anymore. And we were defending for our lives at times. We were so poor out of possession. I mean, Heaven and Maguire were all over the place. The whole back four, actually, were all over the place. And there was a massive gap between the defence and the midfield at times, which was not great to see. And you saw the likes of Guattara, Kevin Shada and Damsgaard getting on the ball and Igor Thiago having massive amounts of space to run in behind. And there was a gap between Dallo and Heaven at one stage where I was just like, what the fuck's going on here? And if it wasn't for Sene Lamens, we could have been 2 or 3-1 down before we got the second goal eventually. It was just very, very poor. And we were lucky. But then eventually we would break on the counter-attack, later in that first half, where Bruno Fernandes sliced it through to Sesko, getting another assist, 19 assists for the season for Bruno Fernandes now, and obviously Sesko getting another goal, which is great to see for Sesko, building confidence, building momentum, really good to see. But Bruno Fernandes, lads, do not fucking sit there and tell me that man does not deserve player of the season. Go on, tell me why he doesn't deserve it. 19 assists, 19! Lads, if Declan Rice or Haaland or Semenyo or any of these players or Cherky wins player of the season, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Just because, your team wins the Premier League doesn't mean you pick the player that's been most influential for their team and in that team that's going to win the league. You look at Bruno Fernandes, Man United aren't challenging for the title and he's been that fucking good. It is unbelievable. 2 assists away from breaking the record. It is record-breaking stuff. It's unbelievable what he's doing. And yeah, I mean, he's going to break it. Let's be real. And what a way it would be to break the record against Liverpool. Oh, please do it. Please. But look, we go 2-0 up at half-time. And look, in terms of the first half performance, it wasn't great, but we were 2-0 up. And we got 2 very important goals. And then, the likes of Amad Diallo, who came off at half-time and looking back on it, it was the right decision because he could have easily scored 2 or 3 goals in that first half. I mean, Kobbie Mainoo, we need to talk about him for a minute, by the way. He was unbelievable as well. I gave him a 10 out of 10 in my player ratings on TikTok. He is absolutely sublime at the moment. His last 2 performances, he's potentially been probably been the best player on the pitch in those 2 games. He's been so good, as of late. And, looking back on Ahmad in that first half, Mainoo went on a sublime run where he played the ball then to Ahmad in the box and he should have buried it. And he had chances after that as well. But then eventually he would get taken off at half time and Mazwari came on and I'm thinking, are we going to go 3 at the back here? Like, are we going to go back to the Ruben Amorim days of playing 3-4-3? And that's exactly what we did. That is exactly what we did. And, you know, the whole second half really was, you know, we didn't really attack much. You know, we were playing long balls up to Sesko, you know, to try and win first and second balls. We would win a lot of first balls from Sesko, you know, chesting it down or, you know, bringing it down to take a touch, playing into Mbeumo or Bruno, and then trying to get on counter-attacks. But we weren't really doing a lot. And we were kind of defending, sitting deep, allowing Brentford, you know, to pile pressure on us, get balls into the box. You know, they were crossing the ball so much in that second half, Brentford. And, you know, we were dealing with it well, you know, for the majority. You know, I don't think Igor Thiago did a lot in that second half. I thought the first half he was dangerous, but that's because we were very open defensively and, you know, we were allowing a lot of gaps for them to run into the space, for them to create chances. The second half, we were a lot more compact. Mazwari brought a difference on, you know, in terms of clearing the ball away from crosses, last-ditch tackles, you know, and I thought Casemiro, again, was just unbelievable in that second half. You know, the most influential player on the pitch for Man United in that game. But then a late scare happened where Jensen, out of nowhere, what a fucking goal, by the way. I have no complaints, to be honest. Okay, we could have closed him down better, but I was not expecting Jensen to put that into the bottom corner from, 25 yards out? It was an unbelievable finish from Jensen. And look, what I will say is it was a late scare, and if they got a second goal, I would have been sat here absolutely depressed, because to go 2-0 up and then bottle it, it would have just been typical Man United. But we held on to the win. That's a massive, massive win now going into that game against Liverpool on Sunday, because we are officially 3 points away from securing Champions League football. It's massive. It's absolutely massive. And look, if we win on Sunday, we are Champions League bound, lads. But look, what I will say is, lads, and there's one small negative, right? And look, I know I said a few negative things there about the performance, but there's one small negative. And I'm going to be honest. I don't think Michael Carrick should be getting the permanent Manchester United job. I really don't think he should be, because he is not the guy. He's not the guy. We need a world-class manager. I'm looking at the last few performances, you know, even the last month or so. Manchester United have not been great, you know, especially going forward. You know, we're defending deep at times. We're allowing massive space for opposition players to run into and create chances, you know, and, you know, potentially score a lot of goals. And, you know, we were the same against Leeds. Against Chelsea, we were sitting deep as well, allowing them to pile pressure. Now, thank God they had Garnacho on the pitch, because he didn't do fuck all. Palmer didn't do anything in that game. And we were lucky. You know, we were lucky that they didn't, you know, pose a threat. Then you look at tonight, and in the first half again, we were very, very lucky not to concede in that first half. And in the second half, we were a bit better and more compact, you know, but that's because we were playing 3 at the back. We're playing 3-4-3 and playing with 5 at the back when we were defending. And then we conceded a long-range shot from out of nowhere. So you could say it was a bit better today. But that's because we made a tactical substitution and we switched tactics and formation at half-time. Carrick said, fuck this, I'm sick of this end-to-end stuff. We have to play 3 at the back now. You know, because we were getting carved open at times. So when I look at it from this perspective, Carrick tonight made a good, you know, switch at half-time in terms of tactical, you know. But the way we're playing at the moment, I just don't think he's the guy. I really don't think he's the guy to get Manchester United to where they need to be. You know, I think Manchester United need a world-class manager. And hopefully we do. Hopefully we do get a world-class manager, you know, in the summer. And look, it's going to be difficult because with the World Cup coming up as well, you know, apparently we're looking at Nagelsmann as well, you know, managers like that. Now, look, we're Manchester United. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. Surely we can make a few phone calls to, you know, Unai Emery, Simeone, you know, Luis Enrique. Like, I'm not saying we're going to get these managers, but we can at least call them up and see what the situation is. You know, would they be tempted by a move to Manchester United with Champions League football next season? I think any manager in the world will be tempted by that. So, look, we'll have to see what happens with it. But what I will say is credit to Carrick. He did get the win, you know, after making a risky, you know, substitution at half-time and a tactical substitution, you know, where we had to change the 3 at the back. But it did work out in the end because we got the win. So, look, as I said, we're 3 points off getting Champions League football, and this game on Sunday between us and Liverpool is massive, you know, because they're going for Champions League as well. I do think Manchester United, Aston Villa and Liverpool will get Champions League. I just don't see the teams below 5th place getting anywhere near the 3 clubs. I really don't. And Look, if United beat Liverpool on Sunday and a few teams win at the weekend, there could be a bit of pressure on Liverpool. But the reality is, I think Liverpool will get there. But it's still a massive game because Manchester United, if they do win, get Champions League football. And what a way to do it would be against the scum, against Liverpool. It would just be fucking beautiful, especially at Old Trafford as well, in front of 75,000 people. So look, massive win tonight, lads. What I will say is Casemiro man the match. As I said, can he stay? Can he stay for one more year? Give me one more year, man, please. Honestly, that partnership of him and Kobbie in midfield is just excelling at the moment. It's so fucking good to watch. And look, as I said, I really, really would love him to stay. I'll be honest. It would be beautiful. But look, we have to move on. That's the reality. And I hope we can get a good replacement in the summer. We need to replace Casemiro very well in the summer. Get Elliot Anderson if you have to, Tonali, Tchouaméni. Get the players you need to replace Casemiro because replacing Casemiro is going to be difficult. So we need to get the right player. But look, as I said, very, very good win tonight. But it wasn't the best performance, I'll be real. But at the end of the day, this is the business end of the season. It's the business end of the season. I do not care relatively how we play as long as we get the wins. And that's what we did. So that's what we did tonight. So look, if we win on Sunday, we get Champions League football, and that's that. And then we can chill out for the rest of the season. We'll basically be on the beach then, sipping on a few pina coladas. That's it. So, look, massive win, lads. Get the fuck in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Would you keep Carrick next season? What's your thoughts on that performance? Would you keep Casemiro? I know a lot of you would, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. But look, massive win for Manchester United. We are getting Champions League football next season. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. More content coming soon. It's been your boy, Thumbaldinho, and I will see you in the next one. Get in, United. Get in there. Come on.